It's the Sports Hour Pod. We have been gone for a little while now. We haven't posted really since, I guess, earlier on in the football season, but now that the college football season is finally concluded, the boys have come back together for a final conclusion to the college football season. Of course, the football season didn't end the way that we wanted it to as Rebels fans. The coaching landscape has changed dramatically in the last, I guess you could say, last several hours. And that's something that we want to dive in as we go along. But first, we want to start with the Rebels and their final conclusion of the year with the ball game against Mississippi State. Guys, Luke, you sort of spoke out about this on our group chat. I want to start with you. Just give me some final thoughts on what you thought about the Rebels and the Egg Bowl this year.
So all year I've harped on the fact that I didn't like the play calling. Wasn't a big Weiss guy, I think we've really stopped throwing the ball over the middle of the field, to just be quite honest, and we've really just ran the ball between the tackles all year. And we played a lot of teams like Auburn, A&M, where we kind of just got by, right? Like you say, I think we probably could have played better, scored more points, whatever, and that's what I thought. But after watching this game this past week and letting it kind of soak in, I'm not sure that our receivers were capable of doing the things that I wanted them to do. I really think the receivers were a limiting factor, and I thought the defense played easily well enough to win. And I think that we got to get in the portal now, and we got to get some dudes out there, because Dart's gonna be a dude. So, what do y'all think? Y'all.
I think you hit it. I think you hit it right on the head, bro. Jonathan Mingo freaking sucks. I just want to say it now. He's garbage. Dude, I know it was a little bit wet and it was rainy. Little slant inside route coming back into the other side of the field. Wide open, catches the football. He walks in a touchdown. Ole Miss basically wins the football game because, we wind up losing by 2. Would have been a 5-point swing right there. He is garbage, played garbage the whole game. I think the last 4 weeks, which we talk about in our group chat, when we gave everything to Alabama, it killed our season. And I think we all can agree that our season died when we lost to Alabama, because you gave everything to it. You come down, you play absolute garbage to Arkansas, which at the time Arkansas was reeling. Later finished it out and reeling with that. But it's just like in the Mississippi State game, the first three drives we had a chance to be up 21-3 or 21-7, my bad. And you only get 9 points out of that. So right there, it showed the tale of the tape that this game was going to be close when it shouldn't have been. This easily should have been a four-score win, or if not more than that, because you get 3 touchdowns to open the game, you probably have the momentum to ride it throughout the entire rest of the second half. But I think overall the first half of the season was really good. Saw a lot of good things. Back half of that season was pretty miserable to watch, especially right after I guess it'd be Kentucky when the second half offense just wasn't there the rest of the season. It was pretty tough to watch that last 4 weeks.
Garrett, what do you think? I know you were in Orlando with the basketball team, but I would like to know your thoughts on Egg Bowl.
I didn't really watch it, honestly. Too busy, but what I did watch,
I wish I wouldn't have.
What I did catch of it, just felt like we wasn't connected. We needed Trigg back out there catching some balls for us.
So I pulled up our receiving stats this year, and do y'all know who led the Rebels in receptions this year?
Malik Heath.
Malik Heath did. That's a really interesting stat to know. He had 52 receptions for 834 yards. Jonathan Mingo, 48 receptions for 808 yards.
Those stats are inflated because of the 200-yard game.
And then Watkins, 36 for 404, and then Wade, 24 for 236 yards. So as you can see that for the Rebels this year, it was, I guess, in one word, very, very average, I guess you could say, for our receivers this year. And most of the time with Kiffin at the helm at Ole Miss, average doesn't get it done. And Peyton said it before the year, and I sort of agree with him. I didn't think Heath was going to come over and be the guy for us. I just thought he was going to come in and be a piece, be average. And at the end of the day, he was our best receiver. Why? Because we were so average this year. Mingo never, like we said, he had a good game against Vanderbilt, but that's everybody does that. he didn't bring it this year. He didn't have that extra step. He didn't take that leadership role this year after last year. And it was hard to watch the Rebels at certain points this year try to create separation in their patterns, try to get open and make plays for their quarterback, a young quarterback at that, that's just come in and learned the offense. And as Toby talked about, and Luke, Dart's going to be a dog, but in order for him to be or reach his potential, we have to put some pieces around him. I know he had Zach Evans. I know he had Quinshon Judkins. We talked about Judkins before the year. We didn't know he was ever going to be the dog that he turned out to be. But it's going to be interesting going forward into this portal season, into this recruiting season, to see who we can find in order to raise Dart to the pedestal that he deserves to be on.
Yeah, I think this year, you may agree, may not. I'm going to say magic number for receivers in the portal 4. Right? Give me four decent guys, if not 4 good guys. And Ole Miss's offense is going to be okay next year. I mean, you bring back Quinshon Judkins, you bring back, was it 4 of the 5 offensive linemen, maybe 3 of the 5 offensive linemen. Ole Miss's offense is going to be good next year, but we got to get somebody that's more consistent. I mean, like Mingo had a couple good games. Heath all throughout the season, which I always like to make fun of Peyton, who said Malik Heath won't do much. But I always believed that. I thought he was going to be pretty good. It's all good stuff at State. But it's like if Ole Miss can just get 4 guys that we can rotate in and out, I think Ole Miss will be fine next year. Where Ole Miss is really going to kind of lack, I mean, we lose, was it Davon Clowney today? Which, I mean, that's a guy that, you know, he hasn't played all that much, but he's somebody that definitely could have probably played a lot next year. Ole Miss has got to get into the portal this year. We got to be the portal kings back-to-back years. We got to find those guys that's going to help us out next year.
Well, there was no like ace in the hole this year. You know, like with pitching, you usually have one guy that can go out there and get you a win. Usually in football, you usually have one guy that can go out there and make receptions and make plays for you. And Ole Miss didn't have that guy this year. You hoped that Mingo would be that guy. And even Heath down the stretch, you would hope he would be that guy. But there was no separation speed.
Yeah.
And they weren't guys that could go out there and like say it's 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9 in enemy territory on your side of the field. They're not going to get open for you to get that first down. And I feel like this year, even with Kiffin, if y'all didn't realize it, we didn't really go for it as much this year because I just feel like we didn't have the guys that could go out there and make plays for us to move the chains.
Yeah.
So that's just something that we'll have to see from Ole Miss in the future and see how they progress in the transfer portal. Moving forward, I want to go ahead and just get the rabbit out of the bag. What do you guys think about this whole debacle with Kiffin towards the end of the year? How does that resonate with you as an Ole Miss fan? And how does that sort of rub you maybe a good way or not after now the dust is settled with Hugh Freeze going to Auburn?
I think it's clear that our team was affected by not knowing whether Lane was leaving or staying. And the thing that really pissed me off, just to be quite frank, is when he went on Twitter and got after Sokoloff. I don't know about y'all, but that really just made me mad. Because the week before he said, or he was asked, you know, have you told your players anything? Or what are you saying to your players during this time? Something along those lines, I believe. And he was like, well, I don't talk to my team about that. We have a pro mindset. Well, what part of having a pro mindset is going on Twitter and trying to make fun of a guy who's a good reporter? I mean, he's a good reporter. He leaked the Cohen to Auburn thing before anyone, and who has a good track record. And clearly, he wouldn't put that out there if he didn't have sources that he believed that really thought that.
Yeah. And I mean, that's exactly what he tweeted out, I think, yesterday, where he's saying at the time of posting it, they had credible sources. Multiple people said that he was going to Auburn. And like I put in the group chat, I thought Lane was gone. I didn't have any belief that he was staying, because when, you know, 5, 6, 7, 8 different analysts are all tweeting the same thing, 9 times out of 10, it's true. Am I right or am I right? And it's the fact that I think Alabama that wasn't weighing anything, because, you know, at the time we felt we were locked in. But right after that, going into Arkansas, when those rumors really started, you could tell. I think it started like that Thursday before that Arkansas game. Really, really changed the momentum, because if you really watch that Arkansas game, didn't play good at all, especially coming into Mississippi State, where that's all you heard for 5 straight days. I think it definitely affected us. I know players have said it didn't. That's a lie. It's a ball-faced lie, because you're going to play down when you think your coach is headed out the door.
Well, in this era of the transfer portal, if he's leaving right after the season, I mean, these guys got 4 days to figure out what they're going to do next year.
Yeah.
I mean,
100%.
There's no
I'm
way
sure.
that you're not thinking about that because you don't. I mean, new coach comes in after Lane leaves. You don't know if you're staying. You got to have some kind of backup plan. That's total bullcrap. I
Yeah.
think that it really made me realize that you know I don't think Lane has earned that $9 million a year yet. I really don't. I
Well,
would.
I want to disagree a little bit. I think he has earned it. I think the fact that the final 3 weeks was bad, but I mean, he's got you 3 straight top 25 recruiting classes. He's taken you 3 straight bowl games. I mean, let's be honest. If we don't give it to him now, he was going to take it no matter what. You have to give him the offer. I know it looks like a bad deal, but it's actually structured where it's only a 6-year deal. Okay, it's only a 6, which it looks a little bit worse, but I think for what he's done, changed the whole program around. I think you have to give it to him. Was the last 3 weeks of the season done poorly? Yes, but I think it's one of those things we could put it behind us, and next year could be just a whole lot better.
I think also one thing that we failed to mention in this sort of topic here is how journalism is sort of a double-edged sword in that John Sokoloff can go and tweet this saying it is happening, and then at the end of the day, it doesn't happen, and there's no repercussions for what he does or for what he did.
Yeah.
WCBI has not administered any punishment to him, and I feel like it's rightfully so that Ole Miss bans him from any further contact with the University of Mississippi for rightful reasons.
Did we do
Because
that?
he cost the university wins, and at the end of the day, those wins translate into bowl games, and those bowl games translate to dollar signs. And I feel like this is a huge misstep by not only John Sokoloff himself, but the WCBI newscasting station itself.
Yeah, but I think one is there's probably wasn't repercussions because most of the time when those journalists put forth a story, it has to run through an editor. It has to run through somebody before they post it. Sometimes I don't, which I'm not a journalist. That would be Peyton's expertise. But somebody checked off on that. Somebody heard somebody say this. If that's probably true, let's run it. And
Yeah,
when
but it's Twitter though. The modern day
is.
media
It
is
is.
you don't have to run it through your company anymore. It's more of this is my personal Twitter. I can post it, and therefore I get to break the news. Therefore, I get the fame for it. And of course, this guy here, he is nationally known now. He has now made himself a nationwide name, and for him, that's a good thing. But also, if he ends up being removed for this, I do not think he will ever find a job again in local news media because of this mistake that he made.
Yeah, I agree to that. Just want to harp back one thing on Toby said was that I said that I didn't think Lane deserved it, the $9 million. I do think we had to give it to him though. I mean, in this situation, so I just want to clarify on that. My opinion is just like he went 5-5, 10-2, 8-4. That's fine. I mean, from where we're at as a program, I agree that's a big step. But to me, it's like I need to see us get some high school recruits in there.
Yeah,
I need
I agree with
some
that.
program based development because I mean the portal's great. Obviously, he's shown us that, but we're so thin. I mean, look at like the LSU game. We get 3 guys hurt, and then on defense, and I mean we can't stop them in the pass or the run game. So I think we've really got to fill out a roster, and we got to get some high school guys in there. That's what I think. Not to harp back or anything. I just want to clarify.
I mean, so with me, I'm not, if you get freshmen in, cool. I mean, that's cool. With how the portal is with me, I mean, I prefer getting sophomores over a freshman just for the fact that most of these guys, when they're transferring in, have already played in some games before. I mean, I like experience over youth in a lot of cases. College football may not be the best use of that, but I think with what we had, with what was going, which again, a lot of those guys Lane brought in this year were sophomores. Jackson Dart, key element, which Zach Evans is a junior, but he's of course going to go to the NFL. But those guys that he brought in mainly were sophomores, maybe juniors, a few of them. I think that's plenty of youth that most of those guys that came in have already played before. I mean, Jackson Dart played in 3 Pac-12 games. I mean, that's something that you would not get if you brought a freshman in and started him as a true freshman, because then you got to work him into your system and he could, bang or bust at that point.
No, I agree with you. I agree with you on that, but the thing you got to think about is the offensive line and your defense. Because, I mean, look at the snap counts. Our O linemen were basically playing the entire game. I mean, if we're gonna really like win the SEC West, we really do these things that we think that we're close to doing.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, Georgia's rotating. How many guys do you think Georgia's rotating on their defense? I know that they're really good, obviously, but in order to compete with these guys, we got to have at least enough depth to be able to rotate more.
Yeah.
Because we didn't. Our defensive guys, like our DBs, like Finley. His snap counts are insane.
I 100% agree. And of course, Finley's a dog. He's going to definitely be missed. But look quickly on the offensive line, say you got 3 guys. Would you rather start 3 true freshmen in the SEC or 3 guys that you transferred in, like one from Western Kentucky, one from SMU, and then one from, TCU? All 3 are sophomores. They've played in at least 3 games. Who would you rather start?
No, I'd take the sophomores. I agree with that, but I think that those freshmen, they're gonna have to rotate at some point, and they need to be good enough to where they can compete to a certain extent.
Yeah,
they're not gonna get as many snaps, but
yeah. But like I said too, like last year had 21 guys coming from the portal. Imagine Ole Miss gets 18 more. How many of those guys that transferred in last year? How many are leaving this year? Not as many as you think. Probably 7 or 8 of those max will be leaving. You bring in 18 more. That's your depth right there. On top of a recruiting class that you're probably going to get, 18, 20 players in.
So now that we've mentioned a few schools to the east of us, let's move to the east of the University of Mississippi now. Let's move and talk about someone that was from the University of Mississippi that had some trouble and has now moved back into the SEC. Let's talk about Coach Hugh Freeze. All right, guys.
Still in trouble, by the way.
So Coach Hugh Freeze, as we learned earlier today, multiple sources have confirmed that's a word that has been thrown around recently, but has been confirmed through multiple outlets through the.
Who's your source, bro? It's Auburn. Auburn's your source.
The University of Auburn has confirmed it. So, what do you think about that, guys? What does that sort of say to you personally?
Toby, I want to hear you start on this one.
Auburn just wants our sloppy seconds. That just makes the most sense, right? Auburn's team is hot garbage, and I think that roster is garbage. Yes, they get a guy that went to Liberty over the past 4 seasons, has turned that program where nobody knew who Liberty was 4 years ago. You couldn't name me a single player that's ever played on that team ever. And then you get a guy drafted to the NFL who's starting right now. Hugh Freeze is a good coach. He was a good coach at Ole Miss. He's a good coach at Liberty. He'll be a good coach at Auburn. But the thing is, when Auburn wins 5 games next year, he'll be on the hot seat. And then he'll be out the next year when they don't win 10 and they don't beat Alabama and they don't go to the playoff. So, my thing is, I don't understand why people believe Auburn is a good job, because it's not. It has been a booster run job since 2010 when Cam Newton carried that sorry team to a national championship and won it for them. Then they got smoked in 2013. I'm so sick of Auburn. I don't understand this. I know why they got the guy, because Lane didn't want him, so they had to get Hugh Freeze.
Hold on now. You're forgetting the one key thing that makes Auburn the job it is. It is a hotbed for recruiting.
Okay, it's a hotbed for recruiting. Cool. With how deep the SEC is right now, do you really believe Auburn's going to out-recruit your Alabamas, your Floridas, your Georgias, your Ole Miss, your Mississippi State, your Texas in a year, your Oklahomas in a year? Are they going to really out-recruit all those teams? No.
I don't think so, because they're in the middle of Georgia and Bama. I'm not saying I disagree with you. I'm just saying you do got to realize that's the attraction, because Hugh thinks that, okay, well, Saban's probably on his way out. They say Kirby just wants to get 2 or 3 and get out. So maybe, if I beat Alabama a couple times and win 9 or 10 games and survive long enough, then I can do it. I'm kind of in between. I feel like, he could go 5-7 next year, but he could win 8 or 9 games. I'm not too familiar with their whole roster.
You watched Auburn this year. They were just really bad. Yes, you could point to the fact that everybody knew Harsin was getting fired, and so that probably could weigh into it. It might weigh into it a lot more than what we think it is. But, over that last 4-game stretch when they all got behind Cadillac Williams, they also didn't play very well. Yes, they took State to overtime and lost, but just me personally, I want to ask a question. right now in collective money, of the two schools I'm going to mention, which one has the most NIL money? Ole Miss or Auburn currently in their collective? Who has the most NIL money?
Auburn.
Auburn.
Incorrect. Ole Miss does. Ole Miss has $10 million in NIL collective money. Auburn has $7 million reported in collective money.
They ain't got no players to give it to. That's why they give them the list.
But I just wanted, like, because people's talking about how Auburn's this NIL mecca. I just like throwing out that fact.
Well, we'll see next year.
So I don't know if y'all know this. It looks like Freeze signed for 6 years, like 40 million, something like that. Is that the
So,
contract?
yeah, about what? About 6.5 a year? No, it'll be less than that. About
It was
5.5
something.
a year.
It said about 6.5 years, so maybe a little more than that.
Yeah, that's about the deal that you would expect. I mean, of course, you probably would have gave, which Auburn probably would have gave Lane 9.5 to 10. Of course, Hugh's going to leave a contract where he's making 3.5 at Liberty for 5.5 to 6.5.
Let's talk about something real quick too. I want to mention too, and I want to talk both sides of the fence here. I'll start with Toby's side. So Gene Chizik won the national championship. He went 14-0 in 2010. 2 years later, only 2 years later, he was fired at the University of Auburn after he went 3-9 in 2012. Gus Malzahn also was 10-4. He had a great year then, and he was fired just a few years later. And then you have Brian Harsin, after only 2 years, is removed as the head coach at the University of Auburn. And now you bring in Hugh Freeze, a guy that, even though he did have short bouts of success at the University of Mississippi, he also has question marks on the field as well as off the field as a coach. But also pitching it towards Luke's side, Auburn recently just spent $30 million on a brand new practice facility. They have money to spend. Although the boosters, as Toby said, they do play a major hand in the program, there are many facets of revenue to be handed out to recruits during the transfer and recruiting cycle. So it is going to be an interesting upcoming season for the Auburn Tigers. I feel like Coach Hugh Freeze will make some noise, and it will be an interesting next 2 or 3 years to see if they scratch in the state of Alabama. So now I want to sort of talk about a subject that we haven't really talked about much here lately. I want to talk about a little bit about Ole Miss basketball. Garrett, can you tell us a little bit how it went down in Orlando this past week?
I can't give any like details of like,
Yeah, but
team stuff. But I thought we played really well. The first game we played Stanford. Stanford's got a really good team. They're gonna be good in their conference. They got a really good guard and a couple shooters that really can shoot the ball. They went toe to toe with Memphis and almost beat Memphis. But I think Memphis ended up pulling it out. I don't think they won by like 3 or 4. Memphis looked really good. We play them next Saturday, I think.
I wish I could go to that game.
Yeah, they got a really good team. They got good guards. They're big. They're physical. It's going to be a really good game. It's at Memphis.
Kenny Hardaway's that dude.
Yeah, met him. I met him this weekend. He's a really nice guy. Talked a little bit about basketball, but then our second game we played Siena basketball. I can't remember what they're. I think they're the Siena Tigers or something like that. They're based out of New York. They had a really good team. They're big, physical. We ended up beating them by 6 or 5 or 6, I think. Then we ended up playing Oklahoma in the championship game and got beat by 4.
Yeah, that's a tough game. I watched most of that game. It was tough. It was kind of toward the end of the stretch. Oklahoma just kind of outscored us right at the end. Yeah, they pulled away. Ole Miss kept it close. That's one good thing I've liked about Ole Miss this year is one, we've kept it close, and then we finally we start pulling it away a little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit. That's one thing I've liked this year.
We had a run at the end. Amari Abram, our star freshman, he was also SEC Freshman of the Week. He averaged 20.7 points a game, 8 assists, and like 4 or 5 rebounds. He's really good coming off the bench, waiting for Deshaun Ruffin to come back.
So do you know a timetable for Ruffin?
I can't give that out.
All right, so about 2 weeks. Just stare at me if I'm correct. Okay, boom, 2 weeks. We'll get Ruffin back.
I can't give you out that right now, but coach has been on like record saying I think they want him. He's coming back pretty soon.
Yeah.
He was looking real good, and workouts and stuff. So
How about my boy Breakfield finally opening up, finally playing good? Which he
Uh,
played good last year.
he played good. Like this, I love Jalen Breakfield so much, and he plays so good. But once he has 2 or 3 good games, he plays complacent. Like the 3rd or 4th game, like he passes too much. And I tell him that a lot. Like, dude, just shoot the ball. Just shoot the ball.
This is Coach Garrett King.
And I think he tries to do too much. He passes too much when he shouldn't.
Next
And
head coach at Wheeler High School.
he started out against Oklahoma like that. He just
Yeah.
passed too much, gave up open shots. But on down the stretch, he started doing the right plays and making the right calls. And he scored a big bucket for us at the end to put us up 1. Then Amari came down, hit a big 3. We were up 4, got fouled, hit 1 free throw. We're up 5 with like a minute 30 left, maybe 2 minutes left. And I thought we had it. And their guard come down, hit a big 3. We come down, got a steal, and their big man got a and one layup. He made the free throw. They went up 1, and 50 seconds left. They hit it, come down. We fouled, they hit 2 free throws, and that was it. Couldn't come back.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of excited. I'm getting to go where the location is. I get to go watch Ole Miss in Tuscaloosa this year, and I get to go to the Hump for the first time ever. I'm so
You're
excited.
welcome.
Thanks, buddy. I appreciate that.
Got your tickets.
Excited for going to the Hump this year? What's
Yeah,
wrong with you?
I've never been to the Hump, man. I mean, I've been
I'm
to
just
Davis
kidding.
Wade. I'm gonna go to the Dude next year. Everybody talks about it. Got to go, and I'm gonna go to the.
I've
Hump.
never been. This will be my first time going too, so we'll be there together for the first time.
Yep.
The Hump,
He's
though.
gonna
The Hump is really, really nice.
Yeah, I'm
The
gonna
hump
put.
is shitty.
I'm gonna wear my.
It's old school. It has a lot of
I'm gonna still want
The
to
hump
Garrett.
is the
tradition to
worst
it.
SEC stadium I've ever been to.
I'm
an
gonna
SEC
wear.
championship to it though.
It does.
2002.
I'm gonna wear.
But,
I'm gonna steal Garrett's manager polo, sneak down on the court, mop the floor. Me and Kyle down there.
And
Sneak all
State,
there,
you're gonna SEC basketball this year started really well though. You got Missouri at 7-0, Auburn at 7-0, State at 7-0, Alabama at 6-1. They beat North Carolina this past week, the previous
Yeah.
#1 ranked team in the nation.
What,
I
4
think they got
overtimes,
beat by
right?
Gonzaga or something like that,
Four.
or Michigan State.
Was it 4 overtimes, by the way?
Yeah, 4 overtimes.
Yeah.
And then Arkansas, the only loss they've had this year is to Creighton, who's number 7. They're also a 1-loss team. Then you have also Ole Miss, of course. They've only lost 1 game so far this year. And Kentucky's lost 2 games, but of course their schedule has been the normal
Crazy.
Kentucky schedule. Yeah, and then Tennessee's 5-1. They also had a good win. Who did they beat?
When do
They
we?
beat Kansas.
When do we
Yeah, they
make
beat-
the? When do we
Yeah.
make the statement, Coach Cal out at Kentucky? When does that happen?
I don't see it happening anytime soon.
In the near future, but SEC basketball this year is taking a step
Crazy.
forward. They're beating really good teams. Alabama's got Gonzaga, I think, sometime in the near future. That's going to be a fun one to watch as well. It's going to be a fun year for the Rebels. I'm enjoying the team so far. I've watched some.
I wish
2
that
or
we
3
would
times
play
on
teams
TV.
like that just to see where we're at as a team. Like, this team is special this year. I think we have a really good team. I think we have a better team than Kerm's first year with Terrence Davis and Devontae Shuler and Bree Tyree.
There's not just athletes out there. There's actual basketball players, and that's fun to watch. Guys,
And when we
that
get
can go out
Deshaun
there and
Ruffin
can get a
back, I
bucket.
promise you we're going to be a better team than what we are.
That team was cold, bro. That first Kermit team was cold.
We have a better record than them already. They didn't start out in 6-1.
But what sucks this year that Ole Miss is good. The entire SEC is also good.
Everybody's good
That's
except
tough,
like
man.
Vandy.
That's
Vandy and
tough.
Georgia.
Yeah, Georgia. I was watching kind of somebody talk about Georgia, and I think they said in the past 20 years, Georgia has had a winning record in SEC only 4 times in the past 20 years. Something like
They were
that.
horrible. They were horrible last year.
So
We were horrible last year, and we beat them by 20.
Yeah.
That's awful. Yeah.
We were god awful last year.
Luke, have anything to say about Ole Miss basketball before we segue into another topic?
That man crying right now. There he is.
He's over there.
Hey, we got to get. Is it Abram or Abrams? We got to
Yeah,
get
Amari.
more.
Feed
He
that dude.
looked good. I didn't watch a lot, but I've heard
That's
he's a
every like
ultra
when
too.
we
I
had
heard.
26. Like, man, I sat right behind the bench. Man, our strength coach and me sat right beside each other. He's like, I can't say it on the pod, but he's like, that MFer.
He's a dog.
Can I say it? Can I say it?
No.
I want to say it.
But it's fun to watch the Rebels this year. I've enjoyed watching them play. Every time I turn on the TV, it seems like they're winning by like 10 points. So that's always a good sight to see.
Hey,
Seeing
all I
you're
gotta
winning a
say
ball
is
game.
we're heading up to Memphis Friday night. We're gonna be we're real close to Bill Street. I don't know how that's gonna go.
But anything else?
Are y'all
you
playing?
guys-
Are we playing in the Forum or are we playing at Memphis
Forum.
State? We're playing at the Forum. Oh, that's cool.
plays is in the forum.
I knew that. Maybe I didn't know that.
You
We
don't know
should
that?
Anybody-
we should have the Bass Pro Shop Classic playing at Bass Pro Shop.
They used to be where the Grizzlies played. You know.
I know, yeah, way
Yeah.
back when.
That's actually a heck of an idea.
Dude, I'm telling you, I can make the SEC millions. I could do it, but they don't want me.
You're gonna help them design the court in the middle of the.
Yes, it's gonna be
And,
like it's gonna be shaped like a big ass bass. That's what it's gonna look like. Oh, I cussed.
Have water
All
on
right.
it.
Yes.
Hey,
Before we
let me say
before
one
we
thing.
okay, go ahead.
Hey, you know what's right behind the forum, Garrett?
What's that?
Bill Street, baby.
That's where
And
we're
we're
gonna be heading.
and
I will
so-
be there Friday night.
Dude, y'all try to convince Coach and them to go to Jerry Lawler's restaurant. It's pretty good.
I might go there. You want to go?
If I was in Memphis, I'd go. Memphis a crispy 3 hours from me.
Send
So
him
you stay in my room?
send him back to West Memphis Car Mart. Baby.
Oh God, no. I have nightmares.
All right, guys. I think that's gonna finish us off tonight. Does anybody else have anything else they want to say since we hadn't been on in a little while?
All I gotta say is, don't let the rebels get hot.
Don't let the Revs get hot. Great point, Garrett. Luke, Toby.
Nah, man, I ain't got nothing else to say. I think we've covered everything.
All right,
Good
good
to be
deal. That's right. For
Luke,
Garrett,
Luke the goat.
for Garrett, for Luke, for Toby, and for me, Grady. We're glad that you tagged along with us tonight. We hope you enjoyed.